All right, we are on to cycle one. Cycle one has a bit of reading. To start out, we're going to read this article called Sarcasm as a Defense Mechanism. Our learning objective for today is to analyze the character's use of sarcasm. So let's learn a little bit about this from this article. Please follow along. We all have thoughts, feelings, and memories that can be painful or difficult to deal with. Sometimes people deal with such feelings by using what are known as defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms are unconscious, unconscious means done without being aware of it, uh, unconscious psychological responses that protect people from things that they don't want to think about or deal with. Some people might refuse to accept the reality of a situation because it's too painful. For example, someone whose pet died might refuse to put the bowls and leashes away for months afterward. Others might repress or bury their feelings, ignoring pain so as to not feel it. In this case, after the death of a pet, the owner might refuse to talk about the pet they lost, or they might act as though they never had a pet at all. Sometimes people use humor as a defense mechanism. Focusing on funny aspects of a painful situation can lessen the stress and ease one's mental state. Sarcasm and mockery can create emotional distance from a challenging situation, making a person feel superior rather than disappointed. Typically, sarcasm involves using words that mean the opposite of what you really want to say, especially to insult someone, or show irritation, or to be funny. For example, someone might say, "nice shirt," in a sarcastic tone to insult what a person is wearing. Sarcasm can create distance, undermine connections, and push people away. While being direct, earnest, and genuine can make someone feel vulnerable, vulnerable means open to being hurt, sarcasm creates a layer of protection, insulting the speaker uh, from being insulting the speaker from being hurt. For example, someone who is very nervous going to a party might make sarcastic comments about other people to hide their worries about being judged. So we're going to see how Max uses sarcasm in this next chapter. I want you to open up your book, and we are going to be starting on page 31. This is chapter 6. The chapter is called Close Encounter of the Turd Kind. 4th of July, right? Everybody goes nuts. The dads are getting drunk and having their cookouts, and the moms are trying to keep all the brats from blowing their precious little pinkies off with cherry bombs, and the kids are running wild around the backyard. It's like no rules apply, and that makes everything real edgy, if you know what I mean. Like, let's have a blast, and who cares what happens? So let's pause right there and think about just this first paragraph. We'll come back to that. Actually, no, let's answer this question. It says, consider the way Max reveals his mother's death on page 4. How might revealing his story in this way have been a defense mechanism for Max? So I want you to read that passage, and then knowing what we know about sarcasm and defense mechanisms, how might this have been a defense mechanism for Max? When you're done, we're going to move on. So it mentioned cherry bombs in that first paragraph there. And a cherry bomb is small, but a powerful little red firecracker with a fuse sticking out of it. In 1966, cherry bombs were declared illegal by the federal government because they were extremely dangerous. M80s, mentioned later in the chapter, are also a type of illegal firework known for a loud bang and a bright flash. So we just read that first paragraph, and it talks about the dads getting drunk, having their cookouts, mom trying to keep all the brats from blowing their precious pinkies off with cherry bombs, and the kids are running wild through the backyards. How might the tone of this change if it just said the dads are having their cookouts, the moms are trying to keep their kids from playing with cherry bombs, and the kids are running free through the backyard? How does that change the whole sound of that paragraph? Because it definitely changes the meaning. Is it more wild? Is it less wild? All right. We are going to go back into our book on the second paragraph. Don't get the wrong idea. I love the 4th. It's just that people tend to get all choked up about firecracker holidays, and they don't see what's really going on, which, like I say, is the dad swilling beer and acting numb. That's the basic formula. Not that Grim ever swills anything stronger than root beer. No way. The poison never crossed his lips, like he likes to say. Even though he's seen a picture of him in the army, and it sure looks like a bottle of beer in his hand. And he's got that same whacked by a hammer grin that dudes always get when they're drinking. Anyhow, this is the first year I get to go to the fireworks without Grim and Graham, which I've never understood because it's right down by the mill pond where I've been allowed to go for years. So why should it make the difference just because about a million people show up and watch the rocket's red glare over that smelly pond? The deal this year is that I get to go with Freak, which Graham thinks is a great idea. A good idea because she's afraid he'll get crushed or something. She actually thinks people are going to step on him, which just goes to show how brainless she can be sometimes and scared of everything. I mean, nobody steps on little kids down there, so why should they step on Freak? Let's pause right there and go back. We want to reread this excerpt from page 31. It says, "Don't get the wrong idea. I love the 4th. It's just that people tend to get all choked up about firecracker holidays, and they don't see what's really going on." Which, like I say, is the dad swilling beer and acting numb. That's the basic formula. What might it mean to get all choked up about firecracker holidays? And how is this different from what's really going on, according to Max? So look back at that, what he says there. What might he mean? Pause the video if you need more time. Um, our next question is, why might Max have this perspective? So why might he have this point of view? Why might he see it this way? And then, might this be a defense mechanism? Give me a yes or no, and why. Pause the video. We're going to look at this line from page 32. It says, "Anyhow, this is the first year I get to go to the fireworks without Grim and Graham, which I've never understood because it's right down by the mill pond where I've been allowed to go for years. So why should it make a difference just because about a million people show up and watch the rocket's red glare over that smelly pond?" What example of hyperbole do you see in this excerpt? Hyperbole, if you remember, is extreme exaggeration. So where do you see Max exaggerating in that excerpt? And then the phrase "rocket's red glare" is an allusion or reference to the Star-Spangled Banner, America's national anthem. I put the lyrics below. Consider the contrast of this allusion and the phrase "smelly pond." What might Max be communicating here? So what do you think Max is trying to say? When you're done, move on to cycle 2.